Lead with God is a podcast for faith-led leaders and entrepreneurs ready to lead with boldness, clarity, and full surrender to Jesus Christ. Whether you're building a business or walking through a refining season, this space will equip you to move with faith and obedience. Hi, I'm your host, Kamila Surma, multi-seven-figure business mentor, and in each episode you will receive biblical wisdom, spirit-led strategy, and powerful stories that anchor you in truth, because obedience to God is the most powerful strategy you will ever walk in. Welcome to the next episode of Lead with God podcast. Today I have the most special guest I can have. My best friend, Julia Makulec-Siemaszko, and you may know her from the first podcast, not knowing that it's her. Because
it's good that I knew that it was me.
Exactly, because I talked about this mysterious friend that was a really big part of me finding God and building relationship with Jesus. And today we will be talking about really important topic about our fears, triggers, beliefs at the early stage of our faith and having relationship with Jesus. So this episode is probably something that we both really needed at the beginning.
Oh my God, so much.
And my intention, I think our intention also is really to just like share our journey, and we encourage you to really listen to that with open heart and just take what works for you at this point. So I'm so grateful that we can talk today together, and Julia she's such a light.
Because
I know.
will hide behind this curtain in a second.
I'm just like really grateful for our relationship, you know that. And you were, as I mentioned, such a big part of me coming back to Jesus and coming back to God, like as a Christian right now. But I also want you to tell us like what's in your heart, what is your mission, what do you do for women? Because you are also doing a lot of amazing work, if you can share.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful because actually my work is very much combined with my faith, which is incredible. Like really to be able of combining your professional life with your faith and with leading others with that, adding faith to their life is something absolutely astonishing. And just yesterday I was finishing up some calls and ending processes before having a baby. And really each one of my clients highlighted that their relationship with Jesus have broadened or actually started thanks to our relationship, our professional relationship. And that is all to the fact because I lead strong women to Christian marriages. And I am very much trying to implement in the heads of current society that marriage is only possible with God, that it's a union, the three of us, me, my husband, and God, and that actually God was the one who created marriage, which is completely contradictory to what we believe right now in the society, what the marriage is supposed to be about. So thanks to that, I can actually combine I'm not taking out Jesus out of it. It's like he's the center of my work. And my job is basically, well, I spend time with incredible women, very often close to their femininity and to the possibility of being in their feminine because we've all been taught to be strong and independent. And especially in the area of business leaders and feminine leaders, we were even taught to do things in the masculine and that femininity cannot be strong. So what I teach women is that we can be the strongest in our softness, in something very unique to the qualities that God has given us women. So yeah, I guess this is what I do.
I love that. And just listening to you, I just have to tell you all, like she will be like, you know, like so many times a guest in this podcast because we have so many topics to talk about. So thank you so much for doing this work. And I know how deeply you care for women that you work with, and it's so needed in the world. So thank you for that. And I want to start with your testimony for people, because probably for the community that has been with me for the last few years, it's completely new topic.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I get it, like, because the intention for our podcast today, as I said, it's to talk openly about all of the fears, all of the triggers that we had, all of the beliefs. But I want to start with, how did your journey with faith actually begin? Like what happened? Was it like slow? Was it instant? If you can take us back to early beginning.
Well, early beginning would be very early, and there was no faith at all, like literally. So to say that I was down to earth would be a lie, because I was always very cute, chaotic, and all over the place kind of person. But there was no space in my life for any kind of faith, because I would associate it with many things that would trigger me, that would come from Catholic Church, because Poland is, as a country, is mainly Catholic. So I would oppose to anything that was faith kind of related, to the point that I had a friendship relationship with a very close friend of mine who started his walk with Christ years before me. And I was so closed off to the point that when he invited me for his baptism, because in evangelical church, we make this decision to devote our life as grown-ups. That's our conscious decision. And he invited me for that. And that was a very big thing for him. I was like, I'm not coming, like, this is ridiculous. Why would I take part in it? So my relationship with faith haven't begun before my relationship with Jesus, actually. And I wanted to say about it because I know that for many people who are part of your community, like, you were talking about God for years. So for people who are now like, what is she talking about? And being all surprised is like, are you really surprised?
Yeah, and just to mention, because as you said, like, everyone has these different stories, and I was talking to God, but like right now, and we will talk about like what actually changed, and basically like the intention of the whole podcast is to give you a bit wider perspective. But before that, I wasn't using that much, especially publicly, word God. I was using universe, divine, source, all of that. And with the word God, there was just like so much like connotation that, like, really when I heard that word, like in my body was like, oh. Even though when I was journaling, I was starting with thank you, God, but it wasn't based on the Bible. It wasn't based on everything that we're gonna talk about today. So yeah, even before we started recording, you shared it. Like, for you, this was faith and relationship with Jesus at the same time. For me, it was a little bit different, because for so many years, I was sure that I have relationship with God. And like last year was like, oh my God, like there were so many lies that I believed. And there were also like some truth that was the foundation. But right now there's just like completely different foundation basically to my faith. So this is something that we're going to talk about. So, okay, coming back to your testimony.
Coming back to my testimony. Well, yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that in my journey with faith, with Christ, there was, for majority of my life, like back to 3 years ago, there was no space for faith. Because I know that for some people from the New Age community here in Poland and other countries, like, they think they're spiritual. But that's a lie. I'm sorry, but that's a lie. So for me, even though I was very, like, I'm getting close to the point when the journey actually started. So when I was even taking part in practices that some people from New Age community would consider spiritual, like tarot cards, or I don't know, some crystals, like, or some kind of music and experiences and things like that, I didn't go very deep into that. So I was saved from that, but I wouldn't take it seriously. So something that people from New Age community treated very seriously in terms of like spiritual aspect, I lacked understanding back then that these are true spirits. For me, it was just, fun things to do. And I would treat it as, okay, I'm getting a curious information, and maybe that's very accurate to the point of my life right now, but I wouldn't take it seriously. My journey with Christ actually started at the moment when I was on the crossroads, because I could actually start going very much into the direction of New Age, because I started meeting people and going and being in places that will be this way, or actually turning, like if you would say like a huge crossroad, and one would be like being lost even more, and like finally finding peace and the love of your life. Like, Thank God I went that direction. But to be completely honest, I was completely broken back then. Meaning that at the time I was going through, I don't know which at that point, depressive episode. I was going through a heartbreak, and like being actually in depressive episode or going through a heartbreak or combined best, that was actually story of my life for years. And I was in a very dark place in terms of like not seeing any kind of value in myself or thinking that love has to be conditional, not having relationship with my parents back then because I couldn't. I was going through therapy, for many therapies, and looking for places and solutions to my life. I had, well, possibly, well, in my understanding, it is quite a lot when it comes to medication, how I supported myself, my mental health, and everything about that. But basically, I was just stuck in a cycle of constant pain over excitement. And that was very difficult because well, first of all, I had to live for this, but at the same time, I was working a very demanding job as a lawyer at a law firm, or at the international bank. I don't remember right now. Anyway, my job was very demanding. My mental health was declining. I felt alone and lost. And I was just so done with looking for solutions to so many different places and like trying to grab different solutions and different sources of any kind of direction in my life. And that actually caused me to be like if a wind would pull one way, then I would swipe that way. And that would just cause my mental, my physical health and the relationships in my life would just make them constantly change and never be stable. So you can imagine how exhausting that was. I was always just looking for the source within me. But the most painful part was that I just felt like I'm not worthy of love, of any kind of love, even though I was always the person who would give so much of myself to others. So yeah, feeling completely unworthy. And I already mentioned a friend of mine who was with fears. And he was obviously one of the persons whom I would be sharing with how much, like, what am I feeling and what is it happening. And he actually was the person who pointed me to Christ. And because I was so freaking exhausted of feeling the way I used to feel, he started saying things that would make sense in terms of like, hey, how about you would just ask him, like, how about you would just talk to him as a friend? How about you would ask him for his support, for his love? And I was like, wow, you can do that.
I love that, because what you are saying here is that even though he was on a journey with Jesus, walk with Jesus for so many years, knowing where you are at, like, it didn't like feel like he was judgmental.
No.
He was really like, I don't know, like holding space probably for you as a friend back then. And I also want to mention that because you said about New Age, and a lot of people who will be watching us, they are in New Age spirituality. And like, I know from my community, probably, like, I can guess, because it was also like the same for me, we all have good intentions. We just didn't see how deceptive it was. Yeah. That's why, again, I'm going to emphasize, because I know that these topics can be heavy and can be difficult and can be like, I don't want to listen to that because like I don't agree with that. Actually, like, just like having an open heart and open mind to just like listen to the different perspective. Because like if someone is on this path for so many years, it's like, I don't know, I won't speak for myself, but like my stability and my security was in all these things.
Yeah.
So like questioning some of these things is just like you don't have the foundation, and at the same time, like, this ground is not solid at the same time. And that's why we will be having this conversation. But like, I wanted to just mention that it's not from us like coming from any like judgmental space, even though like it's just we want to share our journey. And I love how you actually mentioned that this was something that opened up your path, that someone just encouraged you, like, okay, just like start talking to him and start asking. And like, those are really simple things. And I love that. And so this was like one of the breakthrough moments, as you said.
I I really do believe so, because that was at the moment when I was feeling so bad. I was in such a bad state that I would have panic attacks. I would have dreams of suffocating and actually suffocating during the night. And in that dream, would be my parents who would not help me back then in that dream. Like it was really difficult. So I would call my friends in the middle of the night, like, what can I do? Like, can you help me actually getting my breath? And in that same bed, when I had those dreams, I would actually started asking him, like, can you help me? And describing my situation. I didn't know what I was doing. I was frustrated. I felt like I have no other choice. I tried so many things and I would just end up in the same place. And that was exhausting, right? So same, I want to emphasize that it's absolutely not coming from a place of judgment. It's coming from a place, hey guys, I was saved. Like my life was literally saved.
So what do you mean by that? Because I also know that for me at the beginning, hearing that someone was saved, I was like, but like, what do you mean by that? So probably like, because this is the part of the testimony, like you're sharing how your life looked like before having relationship with Jesus, then discovering that you can have a relationship with that. It's maybe not what you knew from the church that you used to know. And again, like for many of us, especially like in Poland, I guess, we know church and we're going to go deeper into that. So I'm just going to put, not open another topic. And then getting saved and, like what was the difference and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so what I mean about being saved is that the cycle ended of me being in constant pain to switch to some kind of very ecstatic moments of being at festivals, of having new relationships, and then breaking up and like building new reality over and over again with hope, with love, and then just needing to burn it down sometimes over the night together with my mental health. So this is what I mean, that the cycle ended the moment I met Jesus, because maybe I would like to also explain what does it mean to have a relationship with someone, with Jesus actually, right? Because for us is right now something very clear. But for a person who does not know him as a person, I want to describe that this is literally like meeting a new person with like a person who is so approachable, who is always there for you, who loves you eternally, and who wishes absolutely the best for you. And also the person who is like just walking love, forgiveness. Obviously, it's demanding as well, because God wants his children to be strong and independent and full of bravery, but he's also the most forgiving, loving father. So this is what actually building relationship with him means. Is like, you have a relationship. You can call, like you can text, you can do anything.
I love that you share that, because I feel like really like deep down, I don't want to say everyone, even though like I feel like that, or as I think, okay, like most of the people, like we are looking for something like that. Like we crave this like unconditional love, but we are just looking for this in so many places that maybe it's giving us what we are looking for on a surface level just for a moment. That's why this became like so addictive, I think. I don't know, for me, even like business, money, success, all the spiritual practices that I used to have like years before, plant medicine work. Like I was like, I remember being working with plant medicines, and the thing that I remember the most, it was like the feeling of love and community that I felt. So this was one of the things that I was like, oh, I want to go to the next one, because I wanted to feel that. But it was like, after 2 days,
it was deceiving,
gone.
Right? And gone very
Exactly.
soon.
Exactly. So it was just like chasing, looking for this in all of the things that we cannot, like it's just not sustainable. And what you're saying is like relationship with Jesus, it's just like having this relationship that is like forever.
It's sustainable, right?
Exactly. So we don't have to like look for this all over again. We can deepen this relationship, but we like the searching is complete, like in the meaning of like the source of everything that we are looking for.
Yeah, I love how you use the description, and you said how constant that is, because that's actually what differentiates relationship with God with any kind of relationship with people you love. After all, we are just people. And also what I teach my clients is that we are not depending on our husbands, even though our marriage is our priority. But if God is my priority, then my marriage is the best. It's all over the moon, right? And even in our friendship, like, we love each other. We do the best we can to be good girlfriends to each other. But sometimes I will behave in a way that would hurt you, even though I don't want this, right? But what I'm trying to say is that God is the only person who does not change. Therefore, your source of stability, of your foundation, and he can never surprise you with things that he wants from you, with things that he is putting ahead of you. Because even if there is a challenge, God would never put a challenge ahead of you that you cannot, take up on, that he wouldn't equip you with things, with talents, with resources that you can do. And this is what it's so different when it comes to relationship with God versus people. Is just here, even though we are trying to be the best humans possible, we still fail. And he's always there. He's always there.
I love that. And it's so different from the image of God that most of us have. And it's one of the points that we want to cover. So I just want to say we both have ADHD, and like our conversation, like private conversation, looks like we have 5 ideas each. And we have these like open tabs in our minds. So like we are really doing our best.
Yeah, I think everyone can tell by this point, actually.
Exactly. Okay, so coming back to your testimony.
Oh my God.
What has changed? Like what is, like how your life is different now from the life that you had? Like, I don't know, like 3 or 5 main things that you know are the fruit of relationship with God and your change and being saved.
My mental health, for sure, in terms of like I'm completely healthy and free of any kind of medication. I still go to therapy because I freaking love just adding to my life and deepening my understanding. And obviously that's also part of my job, to be there for others. So I'm completely healthy for 3 years for now, and nothing has changed. I'm not even afraid of baby blues. Like, I'm gonna give birth to my baby very soon. So yeah, definitely her. The fact that I'm happily married, I was a lawyer because I was trapped in the understanding of the fact that I need to do masculine things in order to have value. God actually taught me what does it mean to be feminine. What does it mean that I have a value? Like, what counts as my value? Like, he was the first person who told me, I love you internally and you're incredible. Like, you're my chosen daughter. And it's not about, praising yourself over the things you haven't done or not being responsible for actions you have taken. God requires a lot of responsibility from you. But he was actually the first person who would like receive me fully, even though regardless of all the hurtful decisions I made in the past to leave. So yeah, my marriage, my baby, my business, like switching, like the road with Jesus is crazy because I got saved in I think October 2022. 2022, I'm sorry. Then I got engaged in April 2023 to the best friend who actually asked me to ask God as a friend, to talk to him as a friend. My husband was the first one who pointed me to him, but he was the same friend who was in my life for years for now, and he would live his life with Christ for years. So yeah, so April I got engaged, then what's after July? The month. I
always struggle with that, but I think it's August, and then it's
August,
September.
Yes, thank you. Then in August I got married, and already then I made the decision that I'm gonna switch my professional life and I'm gonna stop shadowing my natural abilities and my natural superpowers that God has equipped me with, and I'm just gonna transform my life and like really make use of the knowledge I've been gathering and all the hard work I was doing around my mental health and transitioning over that. And I went to coaching school and to another school. And literally within a year, I made the transition of moving from corporations to consulting and coaching. But I knew from the very beginning that I'm gonna teach about relationships, because relationships and marriage has been something that was always like the most important thing in my life that I was trying to achieve, but everyone would tell me that I cannot do it. And I turned into a person who was told that I will never be able to build healthy relationships to teach others how to build beautiful marriages for the rest of their lives. So
I
yeah.
love how what's most challenging for us, God can really, through the gifts that He is giving us, actually this can become the biggest blessing. And as you said, like, this was your biggest dream, and at the same time there were like so many challenges, like with the mental health and all of that. And now this is like part of your work and your mission and how you can help other women, and like the Jesus is the center of that. So it's like a beautiful ministry, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. And like, so we talked about the date of recording this podcast. Like, you're actually like 9 months pregnant, and your daughter will be here like in a few days, probably.
I hope so, because
yes.
It's been taking long.
So that's so crazy. I love everything that you share, and it's so powerful to hear the beauty of your encounter with Jesus. And I know that like for so many women, this will be such a huge inspiration. And at the same time, like, this journey in the beginning can be difficult, because each of us has a different background, but we face, like the fears, the beliefs, and also like depending on who is surrounding us, like this can be easier or it can be more difficult. That's why, again, we are opening up this conversation. Is there anything else that you would like to add to like the testimony part, let's say?
I think the only aspect is that obviously God has given that to me as a present, like the things that I have just mentioned. However, that happened because I started following Him, because I stopped doing things my way. And I was locked in this prison in my mind that I need to do things my way, and only my way would be correct. Well, my way got me where I was before meeting Christ.
Yeah, I love that. And for sure, there's just like another topic that we could cover in like a few next episodes, but at the same time, it's connected to what we want to talk about. But just like adding something from me, that like I was so focused on like following my own desires, because that's what New Age teaches us. And it's like so freeing, right? But I was like looking for like a spiritual foundation for my life. And I was looking for this in so many like practices and spiritual books and all of that. But the Bible, I would never say that I can find it there. And of course, there was just like so much resistance about following God and being obedient and everything that now we're going to talk about. So maybe we can actually start with that, because you mentioned like this fear of losing your freedom and wanting to do things your way. And I feel like this is one of the fears and the triggers that are at the early stage, because when you start building relationship with Jesus, with God, and like you start reading the Word, it's like, it's not that there are like rules, the list of rules that you have to follow, but as you said, like you have to follow God's guidance to your life. So it means that you won't always do the things that feels good to you. And for so many people, it feels like lack of freedom. So if you can, tell us about your experience and how you maybe used to see it and how you see it now.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, because I remember so deeply the resistance I would feel in my body. Like when my friend, now my husband, pointed me to God, I was afraid I'm gonna lose my spark, literally. I would love fashion back then as much as I do now. I would just dress differently. Definitely not modest. Harness was more of my thing, and festivals and kimonos and things like that. But I would I would love that. And I kind of loved how chaotic I was. Like I thought that it's cute, but like it's, I was missing people in my life who, or just examples of people who would walk with Christ and who I would find interesting, literally. So from one point of view, I would have all those people from festivals, like conscious festivals and this conscious community here in Warsaw, in Poland, and outside on the world. And on the other side, I would have image of, I don't know, Mormons, people like that. So I was, and because the only thing I knew back then about faith was being obedient and submission, and my understanding of it was so far away from what it actually is, I would just believe in the lie. So my heart was completely closed off to the truth because I was just so attached to the lie that I was so afraid that if I would start following or finding out about who Jesus is, I would lose my voice. I would not be able to speak my opinions. I would believe in the lie in terms of like Christian marriages, women are less powerful and have nothing to say, like things like literally things like that. So I was scared that basically if I would go in that direction, that would mean putting me in a box that I don't fit. And all my life, people try to put me in boxes because of how the society is built and how education in Poland is structured, and the authority. Like, I try to escape all of those things. So for me, the idea that now I would need to fit in a certain box was just terrifying because it would be like taking away all of my identity. And that went together with my understanding of freedom back then, which was that freedom means the availability of choices, like having the opportunity of choosing from everything. And I wouldn't understand how much lost, afraid that I would feel because of the amount of choices that are available and how much confusion that would bring to my life to every single level, from the point of having a relationship and inviting someone extra to that relationship, of having children and how to raise those children, of having a job, of spending your time. You have all of those choices and you see them as freedom, while that's the most terrifying and locking you in a mental cage place, because you don't know what to choose and you're so lost with the necessity of choosing all the time and lacking foundation. Because if you have a strict direction, you know where to go, and you have goals, you have dreams, you know how to achieve them. Well, if you have dreams and deep down you feel what you want, but the way you want to get there changes all the time, guess where your development is?
Exactly. And like, even bringing like your area of expertise and mine, so like relationship and business. So for relationship, what you mentioned, if we don't have the foundation, and I was lost for so many years, I was like, okay, maybe monogamy is not for me because it's not happening for so many years. So maybe actually like I should be more evolved and open up to like multiple relationships and polyamory and all of that. And because I saw people like in, like the communities that I was participating, like, I don't know, like traveling to Bali, Costa Rica, many different things. Like I always had this, and I still have like this desire to be in marriage, like to be in monogamous relationship. But I started questioning this because I was meeting people that didn't have the biblical foundation, of course. So I was like, okay, maybe something is wrong with me. So I started like questioning my own desires, and then the desires of other people were influencing what I thought was my truth. And then this started becoming my truth. But like, I didn't have a place where I could go and be like, okay, like, is this right for me or is this not good for me? Because like I was just like a sponge, right? Like soaking up all of the beliefs and all of the examples, as you said. So if we don't have the solid foundation, which for us is the Bible and the relationship with Jesus, there's no one truth. And for me, this was also a trigger, and it's connected to the freedom part, because I was like, no, like there's like so many truth. There's my truth, there's your truth, there's like this truth, but then it is actually getting us lost. And I couldn't see it for so many years. Because like being in a relationship before, there was like, okay, like what is our foundation? Like our foundation is my truth and your truth. And of course, like the compatibility, like the shared vision, of course. So like the chemistry, of course. But then like when we have different ideas for where we can go, like our desires, actually, like, what do we base our decisions on, right? So there is this for the relationship part. And I feel like for many women, this is really, there's like a lot of hurt happening. And because we feel like this, we just need to do more healing to say yes
to be more evolved, right?
Exactly.
Like I have clients who come to me and they are asking me questions whether they are worthy enough to be chosen. Can they ask their partner, their husband, to be chosen? And that's so painful actually for me to hear. But at the same time, I understand so much, because I was, as you're saying, you were like a sponge. I was like a sponge, and I would question my values all the time. And my values were in no way something that would point me. But look how beautiful that is. Even though you had no relationship with Jesus back then, subconsciously, like your body, like we were made by God. So even though we didn't have the relationship with him, subconsciously, like our whole body, emotions, everything was striving to the creation of his, to be in a monogamous relationship in marriage. This is astonishing.
I have like just like chills all over my body, because like getting closer to God made my like desires that are really coming from him louder. And those are the desires, I mean, like louder, that like I know they are coming from him. And I used to have them, or I don't know like which tense, doesn't matter. But like I used to have them for like, since I remember being in a relationship, I was like, I just want to be with one man.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, like the world is changing. I don't think it's possible. Like it's old school. It's not happening right now. Then it was like, I always wanted to have like a house where I can invite people, like have a really like close, group of friends that we can really like take care of each other. But then there's just like, like really big topic around that. But like this desire is just like coming back, and many different ones. So even for people, because this was my question as well, like, okay, so how do I know? Is what I want coming from God? Or is this my ego? Or is this like another, like energy? Or what, like, how do I know? And I didn't have like an answer of like, do this practice so you will know. It's like you have to have a relationship with Jesus, and in time you will know, because he will do the work on your heart. And when you have the relationship like with Holy Spirit, and then you can pray about this desire. And I remember just being in prayer and being like, okay, God, like I don't know what desires are coming from you and what are not coming from you. So can you please take all of the desires that are not yours just out from my heart and my mind and my body to just like see what's left. And then I was like, all of a sudden, I just stopped wanting more in my business. And I was like, wow, okay.
I believe you just made fear of heart stopped listening.
Yes.
What doesn't mean you don't want more? Of course you want more.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, like I can actually prepare my structure and my whole business to be like, maybe I want, not like I want less, but like there's no like this desire for more. If God bless me with more, amazing. But, and so coming back to this like freedom piece, it's the same with business. If you are like working with so many mentors, you are like a sponge in like this industry. You don't know what is yours. You don't know what's your voice. You don't know what is like the offer that God asked you to bring to this world. And we can only have the clarity and build something that is stable through the relationship with him, not only our own desires. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that when you come to the relationship with Jesus, that all of your desires will change. And as you said, we are not going to be ambitious, or it's not that I don't want to develop my business. It's just like, I want to do it from a completely different energy that I was used to be doing. So sometimes it's like big change and sometimes it's a subtle shift. But how would you define your freedom right now in relationship with Jesus?
Oh, how would I define freedom? Oh my God, my freedom comes from the clarity of what my identity is. Because I would struggle with who am I? What should I do? What are my talents? What are my desires? What are my values? As I said, the amount of choices I would have, and I would see it as a freedom, were actually my mental prison. So even though I was always extremely ambitious, hardworking, kind of person, I would always have strive for relationships, like friendships and things, and going to places, doing things. I actually received direction and clarity. It doesn't mean that I don't get confused right now, but I'm not in this place, oh my God, what practice I should do, what direction I should do, which book I should read. Like, I know. The amount of freedom and safety I received from relationship with God. I think that my definition of freedom is very much connected to safety, actually, because I would feel lack of fundament and lack of foreseeability for so many long. And it doesn't mean that I don't get to be spontaneous or crazy and do crazy projects. Like, I'm 9 months pregnant and I still work and I love it. But it just means that I do it from a place that I know that it's not going to hurt me. I know that it's coming from a place that I know I'll be safe. I know that at the end of the day, I'm coming home to the husband who's always choosing me and who loves me like crazy. I know what we are building. I know how to solve difficult issues in my life or ask myself hard questions because God has spoken to me already. Like, imagine how much pressure there is on us when we feel like we are responsible for everything and that we're alone in this. What was actually incredible for me when I started looking for Jesus was that many things I found in the Bible, like literally so much, I would previously read in some kind of science books about psychology. I would study yame and niyame. I don't know how to say it in English actually, but this is yoga philosophy. And there are things like ahimsa, which means about not hurting anyone or being very much in clarity of how you are sharing your emotions, your body, your energy with others. Like, concepts I would study before, they are in the Bible. But what we did as a society is that we have taken God out of these teachings. We put a human in the center. We made God out of human. And we left human alone with all of this decision making. And the idea that we are there to fulfill all of our needs. Like, that's not possible. It's literally not possible.
Yeah, I love that you're mentioning this because this was also like one of my question in my mind to be like, but like so many things are similar, like with the New Age to the Bible. Not everything, of course. Like there is just like some part of truth, yeah, like taking it, like it's took out, and yeah, but there's like a different topic, but like just like to sum up the freedom piece that we talked about. Just one more example for me, it's like this illusion of being more free when you are not in a committed relationship because you have so many options and so many people that you can date, and then comparing this to the committed relationship with one partner to the end of your life. And it doesn't mean that there's no fun. That doesn't mean that there's like no chemistry. There is like knowing you like even more fun, and it can like blossom, and it's just like so beautiful. Yeah, like for all the people like questioning if you're gonna lose your freedom with like walking with Jesus, it's just like a different perspective. And maybe I can actually share because we prepared some scripture. So it's 2 Corinthians 3, chapter 3, verse 17. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. And I feel like it's just like a beautiful breath for all of us.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So I would love to take us back, because we covered this a little bit, to actually like the first point that we prepared. That was, do you remember what it was?
Lack of integrity.
Yes.
Oh, that's a deep one.
Because it's so connected with how a lot of people view like faith and church and beliefs that we have. I want to mention that we will be talking about our experiences that we had with Catholic Church. But like for all the people that are Catholic, it's not coming from judgment. It's just coming from our own experience. Because like I know, like talking to people, that this is experience for many different people. So if you just find yourself in this, amazing, and if not, and you have completely different experience, that's also okay. Why you were questioning this, and like you had this fear of like lack of integrity, and this thoughts about like religion versus relationship, like how was that for you?
So as every person who grows up in Poland, we have basically Catholic Church on every corner, and I think each one of us who is part of the family have grandmas and parents and people like that, or uncles who just go to church on Sunday. They go to the, how do you say, msza? They go to Sunday sermon. Let's put it that way. They go to Sunday sermon, and this is just an empty gesture. There is no relationship behind it. There is no understanding of what the word is about, what the Bible is about. So what I've been seeing growing up in Poland is that people would go to church on Sunday or on Christmas or Easter time, or even when there's some kind of public holiday here in Poland, and they would say that it's so important to do so, or they would not work during Sunday just so the neighbor does not see it. So they would work but inside of the home so the neighbor doesn't see it. So they would do all of those cultural, religious, empty gestures, but there was no moral values behind it. And that's something that triggered me so badly, because I've been striving for transparency and honesty my whole life. And I was just so done with empty relationships with people who would say one thing and they would want one thing and they would lecture me about doing things. And then, for example, the way they would build their relationships, like men would cheat on their wives, they would be alcoholics, they really do nasty things. And then they would lecture others to go to church. Like, what's the point, bro? Like, literally, of doing that.
I love that. And so do you think we like, it's okay, so thinking about like all the people that will be listening to us, I feel like this is one of the biggest, I don't know, like fears or triggers why we are not opening actually up to the relationship with Jesus. And like me getting baptized last week, that was like the last thing that I could think of, would going to happen. And like saying that I am Christian right now, and like this feels like I was living completely different life for the last few years. And I know like how many layers I have to move like through, and like shame and fear and all of that. So why do you think like the word religion is like triggering so much in us, and why we are just like so like we don't want to like get even like closer to that word? Like to
I know what you mean. I think because there's a lot of judgment in that. And people never change when they're being judged, when they're being called on things. People change when they're inspired by our own actions, by our encouragement. Like that works both in any kind of relationship, especially obviously in marriage. Like if you come to your husband and you're just judging him and being all over the place and nagging, like he's never gonna change. But if you're gonna come from the place of love, if you're gonna testify with your own actions how something can be done, if you're gonna inspire, then that person will be like, wow, okay. So I think religion comes with a lot of judgment because people think that they're better than others. And that's very much connected with the lack of integrity.
I don't remember which interview it was, but I heard someone saying that you are so triggered by the word religion, and at the same time you are in New Age, which actually feels like religion, because all of the things that you have to do to like sometimes to control the outcome, the universe, and all of that. And I feel like the big resistance is in all the things that we think we have to do to not be punished. This is actually connected
coming out of fear.
It's connected to the like the third point. So maybe actually we can combine this two. A lot of people, and also like this was the image of God that I knew from Catholic Church, that there's like God sitting somewhere up there and just like waiting to punish me, and I have to be in fear. And there was just like no unconditional love. It was just like basically being in survival mode, knowing that someone is going to punish me for my actions. And that was something that I was like, I don't buy into this. Like, that's why I was so against religion. But like right now, knowing relationship with Jesus and like how loving this can be. And I have to say that like for me, a big part of understanding this was watching the Chosen, how to say, serial? Or,
series.
Series.
It's basically books of the Bible, but put on a very good TV series.
Yeah, and like for someone who like want to like see the how and also like understand deeper the Bible, and for me it was just easier to read the scripture after just like watching the Chosen. Of course, there's just like a small part of everything.
Yeah, but I love how you moved to that point of believing that God is a punisher and not a loving father. Because I had the same. I literally imagined God as this old man sitting on the cloud and not only waiting for me to make a mistake, but being happy if I make a mistake. Like, this is crazy, because that's what I was taught. That was actually my understanding of what religion is and of who God is. That he wants me to do bad, like he wants me to suffer. And what loving parent wants his kids to suffer? Actually. So maybe I can share a tiny piece right here, what has completely changed my understanding of whom Father is, because that was at the very, very much beginning of my relationship with Jesus. And that was actually at that very moment that I was describing about, when I was in my last depressive episode and just looking for solutions and started talking to God. I went to evangelical church here in Warsaw. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to look for. And because that friend I mentioned is now my husband, I didn't want him to point me in any kind of like a very specific direction. I didn't want him to get excited, like, oh my God, she's discovering, or things like this, because I also knew that if there was anything supposed to happen real for me, it has to be for me. I cannot be stewarded, is that the word? I hope so. Directed in anyone, that this has to happen for me. So I didn't know where to go, but I researched, okay? And Google is quite a good friend. So I went to this beautiful church. It's actually an astonishing building next to Saski Park here in Warsaw. And it still looks kind of like Catholic church, but there was no images, gold over everything. But there were Bibles on the side, and there was a lady at the main stage, let's say it, who looked like a priest. And I was like, I don't know if that's what is supposed to happen, but there were Bibles, okay? So I knew that it cannot be that bad. And believe it or not, but the sermon was about who God is. And she literally said that we as humans are taught that God is this angry, old, beardy man sitting on the cloud that we are supposed to be afraid of. But actually, here's the loving father, and he never wants his children to be afraid to come home. And because I was scared to come home many, many times, that meant everything. to me. And after that, I came back home. And that was the moment I actually gave FaceTime call to my friend. I was like, can we go to church next time together, please? So that was it.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I think it would be also good to actually share just a little bit, because we shared about like our experience with Catholic Church, but like we didn't share exactly like where we are in right now and how does it look like. And like after 1 hour of conversation, I think it's good to give this foundation. So like I remember my first experience, and I shared that on the first episode with my testimony, and this was the church that you were already in and that you mentioned to me. And this was during me going through a breakup. So of course, like the biggest challenge the biggest blessing at the same time. And I remember just walking into this building that has like outside, like nothing in common with the church. Okay, like I explained my sister. I'm just gonna give this. My sister visited me like few weeks after my first visit in church. And I'm gonna try to explain this at the same.
With the same words?
Yeah,
Have you said it to her?
Yeah. Thank you. So like I didn't mention that like I was in church. I was like, you know what? Like I was in this like on Sunday, in this like really cool place, you know, like outside of this, like it didn't look that cool, but like my friend recommended to me, and I just like walk inside of this place, and there was just like so many people like with an open heart, like they were welcoming me, and I just felt like so touched by their hearts. Like I could really feel, like now I'm adding, but like I could feel their integrity. And I still remember the feeling that I had in my heart. I don't remember exactly like the woman, but like I have like a snapshot of this moment in my life of being like, wow, like this feels like home. It's not like I have to think about it. This really felt like home. So I keep going with explaining to my sister, and I was like, you know, and there were just like a lot of food and coffee and drinks, and there was like a main stage. It looked like a little bit like a networking event, and at the same time, you know, like a motivational, like a conference for motivational speakers, you know, and at the end I'm adding, you know, and there was just like this big pink LED light with the name of Jesus. And like she didn't like connect the dots, and she was like, you know,
Well,
like
I'm not
asking.
surprised she didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And she was like, is it like somewhere in center? Like thinking that it's like restaurant or a pub, you know, or something like that. And actually like she went with me the day before. So I think this was a pretty good introduction. But I'm just mentioning this because like this is not the church that we know. And that's why we feel so hesitant and resistant to just like explore new places. And like really, I was so surprised that like talking about God and like building community and going so deep into like understanding of God and building relationship with God, like I don't know, I would say like can look this normal. And this like that we can have that much fun, and at the same time, like, I don't know, this can be so real, I would say. Yeah.
Maybe it's a good moment to add if, well, my ADHD explains everything. So I forgive myself. You have to do. I just believe that it's a good moment to explain why this can be so normal, because church has been designed to be a place of community. It hasn't been designed by God to be a place where you just go and you're being lectured. You're getting cold. I mean, you're being cold because most of the time they're like, it's just cold in the Catholic churches. You cannot go pee. You cannot talk to anyone. You cannot see your old friends. No, it is supposed to be a place where, yes, you worship God. You hear the word. You hear the wisdom. You praise God, like we do it during the worship time. So when we sing the songs, and they're actually beautiful, but most of all, it's a place where we connect with one another. It's a place where you go and you feel literally like home. You feel so safe. You feel so seen. You feel so welcomed. Actually, my experience of going to the place you are describing right now was so huge emotionally that I was hiding from those people with open arms. Like literally. For the first, I think, 3 Sundays, I would go there because we in our church, every church differs, right? But at our church, there's always like breakfast where you can just grab something and have a coffee because it is supposed to be just an excuse to connect. Because in the world where just the distance is being promoted, churches are places where closeness and serving one another at every level is being promoted and praised for. So coffee is just an excuse to be there for one another. And I was so overwhelmed by amount of love and acceptance. You know, me being in my area when I would feel like I deserve nothing and then no one. So I would just hide in that very particular corner. I look at it right now with a lot of love. And I would just read my book on architecture, on modernist architecture, because that's one of my hobbies. And on the third Sunday, pastor would come in and he said like, yeah, I got the same book. What do you like about it? I was like, haven't you been on the stage just before? Why are you talking to me? So this is why it is supposed to be so normal, because it is normal. God designed us to be in relationships with one another.
I love that. So reading the questions probably that people are gonna have in their minds, if they want to find a place like this, like what they can look for, like can you give us?
Yeah, that's something I needed so much.
Yeah.
Then, as I'm saying, I would look for evangelical church because you have Christianity and they have like different, I don't know how you would say, divisions, and they differ with almost nothing really, because you have Baptist church, you have Pentecostal church. In Polish it would be Kościół Baptystów albo Kościół Zielonoświątkowy. This is something that was deceiving for me as a Christian because I was like, what is this? Is this some kind of sect? How do you call this?
Cult?
A cult, exactly. I would just look for evangelical church or one of these, or Google types of Christian churches and subdivisions, and go and check, find your place, because every church is just a reflection of what God has put in the heart of a particular pastor. And you will find your home. Like in Warsaw, I'm so surprised how many churches are there in Warsaw. While I was searching for a church, I could find none. So our church in Warsaw, it's called Kościół Dom, and so home. But yeah, you can find many other.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we have more.
We have more core triggers and beliefs.
We have more triggers. Do you want to do one more, or do you want to keep it for the next episode?
I think that one that we have left is actually very good for very separate. I think so. I feel so. Number 4.
Yeah. Number 4.
It's very good to have it a separate one.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So we're just gonna, we're gonna continue on this topic because there's for sure like way more things that we would love to share, and I will be talking to many guests and Ilya as well. So before we close, I would love to ask you: is there a scripture that you would love to leave the women listening, like people listening today? Like something that's been anchoring you, guiding you, that you would like to share.
Well, what is anchoring and guiding me differs over the seasons of which I am right now, but I did prepare a piece of scripture, and it's actually the same scripture that my friend has sent me with my first Bible ever. That friend that is my husband.
This friend.
Yeah, this friend. So I received a first Bible ever from him as a gift, as an encouragement, and there was this piece of paper where he would write this line of scripture for me for this season of my life. And I want to share it with you right now. It's Revelations 21, chapter 4. Chapter 21, verse 4. This is how we read the Bible, yes. And it says, "And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed." away. And me hearing that back then when I was just in my apartment in Praga, completely heartbroken and broken and not knowing where to look for solutions, for love, for health, for relationships, reading that and asking him as a friend to please be with me and receiving an answer, that was everything back then. And it still is.
Yeah, thank you so much. It feels like a blanket to my, like this cozy blanket on my body and my heart. And I hope it's going to feel the same for people listening. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared and your story and how you put all of this into beautiful words that I know that will be a big inspiration for many people and really encouraging and empowering at some point. And like I just have so much gratitude because I know that it wasn't easy to record that podcast with all of the difficulties that we had. But we're like, we are not giving up. Like we are recording this.
At least I didn't go into labor, okay?
Exactly. This was the last thing that were like could happen. So I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful again for you in my life and our relationship. And at the same time, like I feel it's just the beginning of all the beautiful things. So yeah.
Thank you for having me here, for believing in me like that. It's an honor to be here. I think that I want to inspire you here for the future episodes as well, like sharing how God has transformed your friendships, my friendships, so many other women. It's a testimony on its own, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. I've been praying for a friend like this, and I'm proud of you for what you're doing and sharing the word.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're just sitting in the next room so I can hug you just right after.
Let's do it.
Okay, so for the people who would love to stay connected with you, just share like how they can find you and where.
Please come join me on my maternity leave. I'll be delighted.
Here is the address.
Here is the address, exactly. Well, you can find me on Instagram under account The Modern Wife. I'll be delighted to meet you there if you are looking for a way to connect with God, but most of all to connect with God in order to have the most beautiful, fruitful, full of loving marriage. I'm all there for you. I love my job so much, and I have an agreement with my husband that I'll be back at work at the moment when I would feel that it will add to my life and our daughter's life. And I know that I can do it because it's a ministry on its own. So I cannot wait. So I'm also excited showing up with a little baby girl very soon here and doing my work. So yeah, Instagram is definitely, or Kościół Dom.
Exactly. Amazing. Thank you so much once again. And thank you everyone for listening. If you feel like this episode did something good on your heart and in your heart, please share it with other people. Please subscribe to this channel, leave a comment. I would love to see and hear, what is staying with you? What was the most maybe emotional for you? What was the most triggering for you as well? And my intention for this new evolution of the podcast is to build even deeper relationships with the community around all of the topics that we are sharing. So I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.